Welcome to Quiet Scare, where the whispers are getting louder during the day. Built for leaning in, not drifting off. True accounts narrated into fiction, a blend of truth with a little creative mystery. Although the channel is best known for its sleep-friendly horror, the current collection is better suited for an active daylight listen. Spot these episodes, you'll see a sun icon on the thumbnail image, and the title will say "Not for Sleep." The quiet in the day is not empty. The gravel didn't just sink, it disappeared. Cold fingers closed around my wrist. A whisper slid into my head. Say names. I came back to Ashfield, Massachusetts, in late April, just after my mother died. I stepped off the bus with one duffel, and the kind of paperwork that never makes you feel like a better son. My sister Lily met me at the curb. We hugged the way people do when there's more to say than time to say it. We signed what needed signing, ate the casseroles, and sat on the back steps at night, talking about easy things. The neighbor's new boat, the house settling as the air cooled, how Mom labeled every jar in the pantry with masking tape and a black marker, even the sugar. Ashfield Cemetery sits on a hill above town, trimmed neat as a ball field. At the crown stands a bronze soldier, hat to his chest, face lifted toward the sky. We always called it Soldier's Hill. After the funeral, I noticed the statue's base leaned. The ground had slumped into a shallow spiral, as if the earth were draining away beneath it. Grass ended in a ragged ring where roots had been pulled down. Someone had planted orange flags, and even the flags leaned toward the dip. Ed, the groundskeeper, came up the path with his slow, certain walk, cap pulled low. Been doing that for years, he said. We tamp it, it sinks. We pour gravel, it swallows it. You can't just leave it, I said. It's a war memorial. Some things like being left, he said. I tried anyway. My old friend Mark rolled up with a load of gravel. Heard you were back, he said quietly. Sorry about your mom. Let's see what we can do. We shoveled gravel into the hollow. Stones clinked against bronze and slid away, vanishing as if the hill were swallowing them. We kept at it, making small jokes to pretend we weren't worried. Then Mark stopped. Do you feel that? I did. A cool, damp breath rose from the ground, brushing the hair on my wrists. A whisper followed, not quite sound, more like an instruction in my thoughts. Say names. What names? I asked before I realized I'd spoken. Don't do that, Mark said with a nervous smile. You're scaring me. We kept digging. My shovel struck metal. I knelt and lifted a tarnished dog tag on a chain. Stamped letters. J.R. Henderson, OPOS, Kath, and Sergeant James R. Henderson, I said, steady and clear. The gravel settled, as if the hill had sighed and agreed to rest. That's wild, Mark said. It's like you found a trick. We dug again. Now and then I found a fragment with a name, part of a plaque, a funeral charm, a class ring. Each time I spoke the name, the earth eased and leveled. We fell into a rhythm. Dig, find, say, and the ground grew still. The rhythm broke when Mark stepped too close. His boot sank past the ankle. He tried to laugh, then realized he couldn't pull free. I grabbed his wrist. That's when I felt them thin, cold fingers rising from below. Not Mark's, but many, patient and real. Smooth nails brushed my watch face. Say names, Mark gasped. Say something. I tightened the chain in my palm and shouted, Sergeant James R. Henderson present. Present. The earth released us. Mark scrambled out, missing one boot, shaking. We sat in silence and listened to the hill breathe. Ed waited by the road. Don't try to fill it, he said gently. It doesn't want to be full. What does it want? I asked. Respect, he said, and names. It holds steady with names. That night I scrubbed my arms at the kitchen sink as if I'd touched poison ivy. Lily noticed. I said nothing. I slept with the dog tag in my palm. In the morning I found Ed in the tool shed. It smelled of oil, lilies, and something faintly sour. On a stool sat a thick ledger of names in neat block letters. You've got a list, I said. Not just me, he said. Started in the 70s. He told me what the town had done. In 1974, a crematory in the next county had a serious accident. Reports disagree about how. The building stood, but the remains were ruined. The county was overwhelmed. Our town's leaders agreed quietly to take some of the unclaimed. City trucks came after midnight with their warning lights covered in paper bags. They dumped the ashes on the windward side, leveled the mound, set the soldier on top, and called it consecrated. They didn't mark the names. They thought no one would know. Ed opened the ledger to a yellowed page. The last entry was fresh ink. Sergeant James R. Henderson. Dog tags wash up sometimes, he said. Bits of plaques too. I read obituaries. The hill likes hearing its own dead acknowledged. What happens if no one reads the names? I asked. It takes more than it can hold, Ed said. The ground hollows and sometimes it tries to take the living. He told me the rules. Don't bring extra people. Don't say the names of the living inside the ring of flags. Don't stop once you start a page. If you hear your own name whispered, leave at once and don't come back that year. Then he told me about my mother. During the blizzard of 1996, when the ground was frozen and mean, she went to the hill, night after night, and read names until the wind died and the earth rested. She never told us. I remembered that winter, her hoarse voice, the yellow legal pad on the mantle lined with first names, each crossed with a single straight line. That evening we met by the statue at sunset. Ed brought the ledger, 3 candles and coffee cans and a jar of river stones to weigh it down. If it gets ideas, he said. We lit the candles and began to read. The first name belonged to a woman with a plain, gentle hymn book name. As I said it, the ground released a long, patient sigh. Pebbles slid and stopped. We continued name by name, like calling a roll. Midway through, I heard my mother's voice, faint, urging me to slow down at the letter H, the way she used to when we sorted library books. Cold rose again. Then the whisper said my sister's name, Millie, and the nickname only Mom had used. The sound slipped past my guard straight to my heart. Ed gripped my sleeve. Don't answer. I kept my eyes on the page and read to the end. The last candle steadied. The hill grew quiet. Ed showed me a hidden page, folded and taped to the back of the ledger, in my mother's handwriting. 2 names, Lily's and mine. Next to them she'd written, only if it takes. She had a plan. Ed said, if the hill ever claimed one of you, the other would read that name last and walk away. The knowledge sat in my chest like a stone. A few days later, a storm rolled toward Ashfield. Ed texted, tonight, storm keeps it honest. We returned to the hill with candles, more stones, and the ledger. Mark arrived uninvited, limping from the boot he'd lost. I told him to stay by the fence. He promised he would. Rain swept over the graves in thin sheets. Lightning made the soldier's face shine. We read, and the hill stayed steady at first. Halfway down the second page, a bright flash erased the statue. The ground inhaled sharply. Cold rose to my ankles. Finish the page, Ed said. Don't let it set the pace. Mark shouted. Outside the circle, 30 feet away, a new low place had formed. A shallow bowl where rain pooled instead of draining off. Greedy, Ed said. It's trying to open a second mouth. Ash touched the back of my tongue. The whisper spoke my full name, first, middle, last, in my mother's gentle tone. I closed my eyes. No? It wants a toll, Ed said. It often does on storm nights. I looked at the ledger. I remembered the hidden page with our 2 names. I wouldn't give either. I made another choice. I read names not on the page. The mayor who'd agreed in 1974, the crematory operator, the councilman, the contractor who poured the concrete. The hill fell into a listening quiet. When I finished, the main hollow settled by half an inch. The new low place sagged and closed. For a moment, the soldier seemed to stand straighter. Then the ground took its payment. It didn't take me or Mark or any marked grave. It took the ledger's final page, the one with my mother's handwriting. The tape lifted. The sheet rose as if caught in a slow, careful wind and slid down into the earth. I reached for it. but unseen fingers pressed the page flat to the wet soil and drew it under like a letter through a mail slot. The dog tag on my wrist pulsed hot, then cool. "We'll remember it," I told Ed, though I wasn't sure. We waited until the hill's breathing slowed, then covered the candles and walked down the path without looking back. I left 2 days later. I told Lily the house felt too big and the memories too heavy, which was true. The other reason was the way a bus stopping or starting sounded like the hill taking a breath. In August, Ed texted, "Good week, quiet," with a photo of the statue under a clean blue sky. In September, he wrote, "Bring a coat if you visit. Winter's mean," and sent a photo where the grass around the base looked green as a wound trying to heal. I didn't go back. Not long after, an unmarked envelope arrived. Inside was a photocopy of a new ledger page in a different hand. It suggested adding the names of people with no next of kin, unidentified remains from the mid-1970s, select civic leaders, and underlined twice volunteers. A small sticky note showed a simple smiley face that didn't feel friendly. I called Ed 3 times. No answer. I called Lily. She picked up at once. "Don't come," she said, and sent a photo of her truck in the cemetery's gravel lot. The sky was pale and flat. In the distance, the statue looked tilted again. Under the photo, she wrote, "I have the names. Go live your life. I'll call after." I sat with the dog tag wrapped around my fingers until the sense of the hill breathing faded from my skin. It hasn't quite left my bones. Here's what I know. I tried to fix a sinking patch of ground and found the debt my town hid beneath a statue. The rules are simple. Don't bring extra people. Don't say the names of the living. Finish the page. Don't look down into the hole. If the hill is hungry, it will eat. I left. I'm not the keeper. But if you stand on that hill at sundown with a list of the forgotten, I'll keep one promise. I'll say their names if you ask me to, slowly and carefully until the hill grows still again. The reply came at once. My phone speaker breathed, and in my mother's voice it said my name,